From the famous Enola Gay to weather scouts and backup bombers, each plane carried a price tag that would dwarf entire military budgets of previous wars. Using inflation-adjusted 1945 dollars and modern restoration values, we can finally calculate what atomic delivery actually cost. Let's begin with the primary mission aircraft, Enola Gay. The Enola Gay, a B-29 45MO Superfortress, dropped Little Boy over Hiroshima and now sits in the Smithsonian. Its 1945 production cost was $639,188, equivalent to $10.5 million today, though its historical value is literally priceless. Necessary Evil. Necessary Evil served as the photography and observation plane, documenting the blast from 6 miles away. This standard B-29 carried the same $639,188 price tag, modified only with specialized camera equipment worth an additional $18,000. The Great Artiste. The Great Artiste dropped instrument packages to measure the atomic explosion's blast effects and radiation. Scientific equipment modifications added $31,000 to its base B-29 cost, making it one of the mission's most expensive aircraft. Continuing with the weather reconnaissance aircraft that determined the mission's fate, Straight Flush. Straight Flush scouted weather conditions directly over Hiroshima, giving the final green light for the bombing. This weather-modified B-29 cost $647,000, including specialized meteorological instruments worth $7,912. Jabit Thrud. Jabit Thrud flew weather reconnaissance over Kokura, the primary alternate target shadowed by clouds that day. Standard B-29 production cost, plus $6,500 in weather tracking equipment. Full House. Full House scouted the third potential target, Nagasaki, which would receive the second atomic bomb 3 days later. Identical weather equipment costs to its sister reconnaissance aircraft. Next up are the backup bombing aircraft standing by at Iwo Jima. Top Secret. Top Secret waited at Iwo Jima as primary backup, ready to complete the mission if Enola Gay failed. This silverplate modified B-29 cost $714,000, including $74,812 in atomic bomb delivery modifications. Big Stink. Big Stink served as second backup bomber, though originally named Next Objective before its redesignation. Another silverplate modification bringing total cost to $750,019 The standard B-29 Superfortress production cost of $639,188 made it the most expensive bomber ever produced at that time. That's $10.5 million in today's money, more than Japan spent on 50 Zero fighters. But silverplate atomic capability modifications added another $75,000 per aircraft, including reinforced bomb bays, pneumatic doors, and specialized release mechanisms. Modern B-29 restoration costs tell another story entirely. Only 2 airworthy examples exist today, Fifi and Doc, each restored for $15 to $18 million over decades. The surviving Enola Gay required $11 million in conservation work alone. But these bombers needed protection and guidance from dozens of other aircraft that made atomic delivery possible. Continuing with the fighters that stood guard during the atomic mission, though Japan's air force had been so thoroughly destroyed that direct combat never materialized. P-51D Mustang. The P-51D Mustang flew combat air patrols from Iwo Jima, ready to escort bombers if Japanese interceptors appeared. Production cost was $50,185 in 1945, equivalent to $834,000 today, while modern auction prices reached $2 to $4 million for airworthy examples. P-51D Modified. P-51D variants with extended drop tanks could escort bombers all the way to Japan and back, and 1,800-mile round trip. Additional fuel tank modifications added $3,200 to base cost, making these the longest-ranged single-engine fighters ever built. P-47N Thunderbolt. The P-47N Thunderbolt, specially designed for Pacific operations, featured extended wings and massive fuel capacity for bomber escort duty. At $83,000 per aircraft, the Jug cost more than any other American single-engine fighter, but could absorb punishment that would down 3 Mustangs. P-61 Black Widow. The P-61 Black Widow patrolled night skies around Tinian, hunting any Japanese reconnaissance planes attempting to spot the B-29 fleet. This radar-equipped night fighter cost $180,000, making it America's most expensive fighter, though by August 1945, it faced almost no opposition. P-38L Lightning. The P-38L Lightning flew long-range reconnaissance and fighter sweeps over Japan, its twin-engine design providing safety over vast ocean distances. Production cost reached $97,147, but surviving crews considered the redundancy worth every penny over single-engine alternatives. F-6F Hellcat. The F-6F Hellcat maintained carrier-based air defense for the fleet offshore, ready to intercept any kamikaze attacks during the mission. Navy fighters cost $35,000 each, cheaper than Army counterparts, but purpose-built for carrier operations that Army planes couldn't match. F-4U Corsair. The F-4U Corsair flew Marine Corps fighter sweeps from captured Okinawa, suppressing any Japanese air activity before the mission. At $25,000, the bent wing bird was among America's cheapest fighters, yet boasted an 11-to-1 kill ratio. The Japanese opposition existed mostly on paper by August 1945. A6M-0. The A6M-0, once the Pacific's most feared fighter, had been reduced to fewer than 500 operational examples. Japan produced them for $50,000 each, roughly $5,000 then or $82,000 today, one-tenth the cost of a Mustang. Ki-84 Hayate. The Ki-84 Hayate represented Japan's best fighter design, fast and heavily armed, but fewer than 100 remained operational. Production cost reached $78,000, though critical material shortages meant most used wooden components and low-grade fuel. N-1KJ Shiden. The N-1KJ Shiden matched American fighters on paper, but suffered catastrophic reliability problems. At $95,000 each, these expensive fighters spent more time grounded for repairs than combat, their landing gear collapsing after routine operations. While fighters patrolled for threats that never came, other aircraft gathered the intelligence that made precise atomic targeting possible. Next up are the reconnaissance and rescue aircraft that provided eyes over the target and safety nets across the Pacific. F-13A Photo Reconnaissance. The F-13A Photo Reconnaissance variant stripped guns from standard B-29s and installed $47,000 worth of specialized cameras in pressurized bays. These unarmed aircraft mapped Hiroshima weeks before the mission, photographing every building, bridge, and potential aiming point from 32,000 feet, where Japanese fighters couldn't reach them. K-22 Camera System. The K-22 camera system equipped photo reconnaissance aircraft with lenses capable of resolving objects 18 inches across from 6 miles up. Each camera suite cost $28,000, more than an entire Japanese fighter, and required specially trained operators who spent months learning to photograph through cloud breaks lasting mere seconds. P-51 Photo Reconnaissance. P-51 Photo Reconnaissance variants traded machine guns for cameras, flying low-altitude missions that confirmed high-altitude photography. Modified Mustangs cost an additional $12,000 for camera installations, their speed providing the only defense against ground fire during dangerous mapping runs over defended cities. Weather B-29 instruments. Weather B-29 instruments included barometers, thermometers, and radio equipment measuring atmospheric conditions that would affect bomb blast patterns. The specialized meteorological package added 7,812 dom to each weather aircraft, though mission success depended entirely on accurate readings from these relatively inexpensive additions. PBY-5A Catalina. The PBY-5A Catalina amphibious flying boat stationed along the mission route, ready to rescue any ditched B-29 crew from the Pacific. Production cost reached $90,000, but these sturdy aircraft could land in 12-foot swells, taxi to survivors, and take off again, carrying the entire 11-man bomber crew plus their own. OA-10 Catalina. The OA-10 Catalina served as the Army Air Force version of the Navy's PBY, painted olive drab instead of blue. Identical $90,000 cost though Army rescue crews received less water landing training than Navy counterparts, making their missions considerably more dangerous. Boeing SB-17 Flying Fortress. The Boeing SB-17 Flying Fortress converted obsolete bombers into rescue aircraft carrying life rafts, emergency radios, and supplies that could be dropped to survivors. Conversion costs added $23,000 to existing airframes, creating airborne lifeguards that circled reported ditching sites for days. SC-47 Skytrain. The SC-47 Skytrain dropped rescue supplies and occasionally attempted dangerous water landings despite lacking amphibious hulls. Standard C-47s cost $88,574, but search and rescue modifications including extra fuel tanks, rescue equipment, and reinforced floors added another $15,000. L-4 Grasshopper. The IALM L-4 Grasshopper observation planes spotted for air-sea rescue operations from Tinian's airfield. Their slow speed and excellent visibility making them ideal coastal patrol aircraft. At just $2,140 each, these tiny fabric-covered aircraft cost less than a single B-29 tire, yet saved dozens of lives throughout the Pacific campaign. Behind these combat and reconnaissance aircraft stood the massive training and transport fleet that built American air dominance. Continuing with the training aircraft that transformed civilian recruits into combat-ready B-29 crews, the hidden foundation beneath Hiroshima's 7 bombers. AT-11 Kansen. The AT-11 Kansen trained every bombardier who would fly B-29 missions, its glass nose identical to bomber layouts. Production cost reached $54,000, and each bombardier required 160 training hours before graduating to Superfortress duty. TB-29 Superfortress. The TB-29 Superfortress converted combat bombers into flying classrooms, sacrificing operational capability for instructor stations. Conversion cost $89,000 per aircraft, creating trainers more expensive than most frontline fighters, but essential for teaching complex flight engineer and navigation procedures. AT-6 Texan. The AT-6 Texan trained more Allied pilots than any other aircraft, transitioning students from basic flight to combat tactics. At $27,000 each, the pilot maker prepared every fighter pilot who would escort atomic missions. UC-78 Bobcat. The UC-78 Bobcat introduced pilots to multi-engine operations before advancing to bomber training. Production cost was $35,000, its twin engines and forgiving handling making it the crucial bridge between single-engine trainers and combat aircraft. P-40 Warhawk Trainer. P-40 Warhawk trainers repurposed obsolete fighters for advanced combat training. Conversion costs added just $8,000 to existing airframes, creating realistic combat trainers that taught gunnery and tactics using aircraft too worn for frontline service. Next up are the strategic transport aircraft that moved atomic bomb components across the Pacific. C-54 Skymaster. The C-54 Skymaster carried Little Boy's uranium components from Los Alamos to Tinian in late July 1945. This 4-engine transport cost $252,000, and the secret flight carrying atomic materials operated under security measures costing another $47,000 in specialized guards and modified cargo bays. C-47 Skytrain. The C-47 Skytrain supplied Tinian's 509th Composite Group with everything from engine parts to classified documents. Standard production cost reached $88,574, but the workhouse transport moved more cargo ton-miles than any other aircraft. C-46 Commando. The C-46 Commando hauled heavier loads than the C-47, delivering specialized tools required for atomic bomb assembly. At $142,000 each, these larger transports cost nearly twice their smaller counterparts, but carried double the payload. R-5D Skymaster. The R-5D Skymaster served as the Navy's version of the C-54, delivering components to fleet units offshore. Identical costs, but different designations reflected inter-service procurement rivalries that inflated overall program expenses by maintaining duplicate logistics chains. Link Trainer. The Link Trainer simulator taught instrument flying without burning fuel or risking aircraft. Each simulator cost $3,500, but these blue boxes trained pilots through conditions that would kill students in real aircraft. Wendover Field. Wendover Field in Utah hosted the 509th Composite Group's secret training program. Construction and operation costs exceeded $12 million, creating an isolated base where atomic mission crews practiced for months. The total mission cost combining base aircraft, modifications, training programs, support infrastructure, and operational expenses reached $847 million in 1945 dollars. That's $13.9 billion today, nearly half the Manhattan Project's total budget, proving that atomic bombs cost less than the aircraft delivering them.